In solo leveling, after the national level hunter Thomas Andre presented Sung Diddy-woo with the ultimate weapon, Thomas went on to say that it was impressive how he managed to recognize what they were made of with a single glance. Thomas explained that the US government wanted them to hand over Kamish's corpse, so they decided to give it up since they could gain a lot of money just by doing so. But its sharpest fang that he managed to pull out after it bit him was given to him as a souvenir. And because the fang was too short to be made into a long sword, he had it made into a pair of daggers, going on to say that that decision really paid off in spades, and now they were his. Lifting up one of the daggers with his left hand and seeing that that bad boy had an attack power of over 1,500, Drippy Woo said that he had always thought the Demon King's dagger was good with its measly 220 AP, but it wasn't even a comparison. While swinging the dagger around, Drippy Woo thought that stat-wise it was like wielding a broadsword in each hand, making Thomas say that even if he were to strengthen his defenses to the max, he would still be sliced in half with minimal difficulty, and asked if he was thinking of killing him with the gift he just gave him. Drippy Woo then looked down thinking that this definitely was no ordinary dagger, going on to say that it was reacting strongly to his mana as if it was greeting him. The agents of the Scavenger Guild could only stare in shock, feeling the overwhelming aura coming from the item. Thomas then asked Laura if she still thought his decision was a mistake, making her shake her head in approval. Thomas then goes to ask Drippy Woo on how did he like his gift, making him respond questioning if he could really accept something like that for free. Thomas responded asking what did he mean for free, saying that the two daggers were a cheap price to pay for the lives of him and his guild members. Rizzy Woo then went on to say that he would gladly accept his gift, making Thomas say that he was happy to hear that, until a sudden shock of energy suddenly befell both hunters, making Thomas ask Drippy Woo if that just happened, which he nods, confirming it. On the streets of the city of Seoul, civilians start shitting their pants while staring up at the sky. Drippy Woo then questioned if this was what Dr. Belzer was talking about at the conference, asking if that was the Magisphere gathering over the skies above Seoul. Thomas went on to say that he couldn't believe it, saying that he's never seen one so massive, stating that it was even bigger than the one Kamish burst out of. Did this mean that they were now dealing with forces beyond their comprehension? Civilians could only stare up at the sky in shock, but instead of running for their lives, they pulled out their phones in order to record this phenomenon. Nick Powell, a reporter from BBN News, reported that the gate they saw before them was the largest one ever seen since the dawn of the magic beasts. Dr. Belzer at an interview stated that he recently began warning people about the large quantity of mana accumulating in the skies, saying that the giant gate over Seoul was just the beginning, and they should expect to see this terrifying gate appear in many other countries. The interviewer then asked if he meant to say that this type of unusual activity had been observed in other parts of the world as well, making Dr. Belzer respond, saying that that was precisely the point he wanted to emphasize. The interviewer went on to say that he knew he'd been researching gates and beasts for quite some time, and asked what he supposed is the wisest way to handle this situation. "We must pray," he responded. "We must pray that this unprecedented event doesn't end in tragedy." Standing atop his dragon Kaisel near the gate like a cold MF, Sung Drippy Woo stated that it was weird since he couldn't enter the gate, almost like it was blocked off by some sort of wall. Drippy Woo then said that if it was an ordinary wall, he could have just broken it down, meaning this was a gate that couldn't be entered by an awakened being, and questioned if the beasts inside would be any different from the ones he's encountered so far. Drippy Woo went on to say that either way, his friends and family were down there, meaning he wouldn't let whatever's inside off easy. Papa Woo's iPhone 15 Pro Max suddenly started ringing. At the other side, Woo Jinchul asked if he should call again since he had trouble hearing his voice, but he responded saying it was just because he's somewhere high up. Rizzy Woo then asked if he should start calling him Chairman Woo from now on, but he responded saying he was free to call him whatever he'd like and that he still felt a little awkward about his promotion since it was much more than he deserved. Drippy Woo went on to ask if he got a chance to look into the things he asked him about. Chairman Woo responded saying that he asked the hunter management agencies of other countries to run a satellite scan, but not a single new gate had spawned anywhere in the world. Drippy Woo responded asking if he was saying there were no new gates besides the ones that had already spawned, making him confirm that being the case. It had been 3 hours since the enormous gate appeared. What were the odds that not a single gate had shown up across the globe in those 3 hours? hours. This isn't just a coincidence, Drippy Woo thought. Chairman Woo went on to say that their plan was to start evacuating civilians located near the gate, and were going to proceed with a step-by-step approach in order to mitigate chaos, and asked what Drippy Woo's plan was. He responded saying that even though they didn't know what tomorrow held, someone still had to plant the apple tree, whatever the that meant, ending the call then and there, looking dead serious at what's to come. In solo leveling, after Baru suddenly dashed towards Drippy Woo at full speed, he managed to dodge every single attack thrown at him with ease, making Baru launch his right hand forward in order to grab him, but Drippy Woo dodged the attack yet again. Seeing how his previous attack missed, Baru quickly prepared his left hand for an attack, but Drippy Woo quickly managed to grab his other hand, stopping him in his tracks. Drizzy Woo then asked if he was really giving it his all, making Baru quickly pull his hand away and bow before his papa, saying how could he possibly do something like that to his king. Drippy Woo responded saying it was fine since he only wanted to work up a sweat and he was the only person who could help him do that. Baru responded saying that he was deeply moved and honored by his words, making Drippy Woo say that he felt like his vocabulary was growing by the day and questioned if he had eaten another human. Drippy Woo went on to do the Goku warm-up move, saying they should get started for real this time. Baru suddenly activated his full power with his title card reading that he had reached max level with his rank being commander. Baru suddenly lunged himself towards Drippy Woo from mid-air, but Rizzy Woo quickly dodged the devastating attack extremely easily, making Baru go for a second attack, but he blocked it with a single arm, saying that he was pretty strong now that he was a commander. Baru then went for a full frontal assault, but Drippy Woo easily dodged every attack, striking him dead in the abdomen, and asked Baru if he knew that in an army, there could only be one commander, and once Igris and Greed become generals, they would catch up to him in no time, telling him that if he didn't want his position to be taken away, he'd better try harder. Hearing this enraged Baru, causing him to attack Drip Woo with all his might. But even with all his power, Rizzy Woo thought that it wasn't enough, saying that even though Baru is the strongest soldier in his shadow army, he's nowhere near strong enough to fight against those guys, referring to the Monarchs. Baru then attempted to grab him point blank, but Drippy Woo quickly redirected his attack, making his hand go through the training facility's wall, giving him the chance to land a devastating blow to Baru's back, which sent him crashing to a wall. Bro stood absolutely no chance. He suddenly bowed down, telling his king that he, his lowly servant, was awed by his almighty strength. Drippy Woo responded, telling Baru he should lay off watching historical dramas for a while, making Baru look sad with a tear in his eye while healing himself. Drippy Woo then looked back nervously, saying that now that the test was over, he needed to start cleaning up this place, and called Chairman Woo to hear him out, saying he could fix the place with his 300 ant workforce. At a hotel in Seoul, Secretary Laura asked Thomas Andre if he was planning to stay in Korea, making him respond saying how could he leave behind something so big and beautiful. Laura then said that it was certainly big, but wasn't sure about beautiful, making Thomas respond, telling her that anything that can make your heart flutter is beautiful, going on to say that a fire-breathing dragon, the massive gate in front of them, and Sung Drippy Woo's power are all things of beauty, and that was why he wanted everything that was considered beautiful for himself. Secretary Laura went on to say that it looked like there was actually something even he couldn't have. Thomas responded saying he didn't think that was possible until now, and that there was no point in going back home when there aren't any new gates. Laura went on to say that the Bureau was worried, but Thomas responded saying that the safest place in the world was right at Sung Drippy Woo's side. Besides, there wouldn't be anything left to be worried about if the gate isn't stopped, and that's why he wanted to witness everything with his own 2 eyes. He wanted to see if this would be the end of mankind, or the start of a new beginning. The city of Seoul was advised to evacuate as soon as possible in order to escape their impending doom. At the same time, at Sung Drippy Woo's house, Gina asked her mom if they would be evacuating with the rest of the people, but she responded saying that if this place was going to turn into a war zone anyways, it would be better to choose where they died, and besides, the houses in their district hadn't been advised to evacuate yet. Annoyed, Gina responded, telling her that she would be going to college next year, and she would finally be old enough to drink and get her own place, saying that she didn't want to die when her life was just about to start. Her mom smiled, saying that she did have a point, and that Drippy Woo would protect them, just like her father did. Big Papa Wu looked down, thinking that he still couldn't feel the Monarchs' presence at all, questioning where the hell they could be hiding. And since there was no one else, he had to be the one to stop the gate, asking if it could be done without any sacrifice, since he now had so much to protect. Drippy Wu then pulled out his phone, saying that if this was indeed the end, who should he spend his time with, and quickly noticed Mommy Cha's name in his contact list. At a dojo, Mommy Cha suddenly put her training session to a halt. Her coach went on to say that he could tell from the tip of her sword that she's been hesitating a lot lately and is concerned that she may have fear in her heart. He went on to say that it was only natural since he was also terrified of the monsters that took his arm back then, although it couldn't compare to the monsters she's gone up against. Mommy Cha's phone suddenly started to ring, making Song Chi-yul apologize for yapping too much, telling her to take the call since a hunter should always answer their phone. After hearing what Sung Drippy Wu had to say, Mommy Cha quickly turned around with excitement, and while blushing, she told her coach that she had to get going since something came up. Chi-yul responded, telling her to go right ahead, and smiled to himself since he finally realized what was going on.